Hi, this is Dr. Liza Sejido from Psyche Electro-Acoustic Opera Company, and today I have a very special tutorial for you. I am going to show you how to convert a MIDI device into an analog synth emulator, one that responds to you in real time like a real analog synthesizer. And if you've seen a synthesist work an analog synthesizer, they can create awesome improvisations with the parameters of a sound in real time. So that's what we're going to try to do today. Now, let's begin. I'm going to start by unlocking my patch, and I'm using a Novation Launch Key Mini, but you can use any MIDI controller you have available. If you do not have a MIDI controller, if you do not have a MIDI device that you can work with, you can turn your phone into a MIDI device by downloading an app called Touch OSC. After you download the app Touch OSC, go to hexler.net and download its free OSC bridge. The bridge will help your phone talk to your computer via Wi-Fi. And so, just an FYI for those of you who don't have a MIDI device available, Touch OSC, by the way, is a $3 app. It is a bargain. It's a really cool app. I think you will enjoy it. All right, so let's start this. Let's start this tutorial. Let's bring a control in object. Type in CTLN to a blank object. This will read all of the sensors on your MIDI device that produce MIDI continuous control change messages. We are going to attach two number boxes to control in. All right, I'm going to lock my patch and I'm going to move one of the sensors on my device. All right, you notice that the first box moves a lot and the second box doesn't move very much. The first box is spitting out the position of the current controller that I am, or the current sensor that I am using. The second box, the one that doesn't move so much, is actually displaying the name of the sensor that I am moving. All right, and we're going to need that to route the information coming from the first box. Right now, we can't simply attach what's coming out of the first box into a function. You know, it'll spit out all the information from all of my sensors in one place, and that means none of, it's as if I only had one fader on my MIDI device. So we really do have to route these potentiometers into separate outputs in Mac so that we can control as many functions on our synthesizer as we have sensors on the device. All right. To do that, we have to bring in an object called gate. Gate is what's going to help us route our MIDI continuous control change messages from this MIDI device. We need to give gate an argument. We need to know how many outputs we're going to route to. I want to route the output of all of these pots and faders. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pots and 1 fader. So I'm going to call this gate 9. I'm going to separate the information of these 9 sensors and route them to different outputs. I'm going to go out my first number box into the second input of gate. If you hover over the input of a max object, it will tell you what it's for. Here it says incoming gated messages. plug in here what you want to route. Now, we need to give gate commands. We need to tell our gate which outputs we want to open. All right, right now they're all closed. To give an object a command, we use message objects. All right, this message 1, when I lock my patch and click on it, is telling gate to open output number 1. I'm going to create 8 more of these messages. Okay, done. So now when I press number 2, message number 2, it will open output number 2. When I press number 3, it'll open output number 3. But I don't want to have to be clicking on this manually to work with my synthesizer. We're going to use the name of the sensors to click on our messages. In order to do that, we're going to need a select object. We're going to type in a list of numbers after the word select. Those numbers are going to correspond to the names of the sensors coming out of this number box. My mod wheel is called sensor number 1. This first potentiometer is called 21. This second potentiometer is called 22. Let me see if they go in order. You have to check. Sometimes your sensors names are not in order. 21. Yeah, these happen to be in order. Now I'm going to connect the output of a number box with the sensor names to select. So sensor number 1, my mod wheel sensor, is going to be associated with output number 1 of my gate. All right, sensor number 21, this first potentiometer here, that's what it's called, 21. I'm gonna have activate output number 2 on my gate. Sensor 22, I'm going to have it route stuff through the third output of my gate. Oops. All right, so I'm just going to connect almost all of the outputs of my select objects to the messages, the commands for gate. Just an FYI, only connect into the first inlets of messages. Don't use the second inlets, only the first. The last output on the select object isn't connected to anything. That's an extra output. Don't use that. We won't need that for this project. And so now, all of the sensor values for my MIDI device are being routed automatically. When I move sensor 1, the information is being routed out through output number 1. When I move sensor 21, all of these numbers are being routed out of the second output. When I move sensor number 22, everything is being routed through the third output. Now you can't see that happening, so we're going to bring in some MIDI GUI objects to see that working. We're going to bring in some MIDI sliders. This is a MIDI slider. You can also get it by typing in the word slider into a blank object, and you get that. I'm going to resize it so it fits nicely to my screen. I like that size, so I'm going to copy and paste a few of them. I need 9 of them. Alright, I got 9 now. And now I'm going to connect the gate outputs to these sliders. Make sure you don't miss one. Ooh, did I make too many? Yeah, I made 10. All right, I'm gonna lock my patch. Now, let's see if this works. Oh yeah, there it is. There it is. There it is. There it is. Very nice. Okay, so now we can use these sensors to control parameters of a synthesizer. But now we have to create notes so that we have a sound to work with. So we're going to bring in a note in object. This will read all of your sensors on your device that creates MIDI note on and off messages. We're going to attach 2 number boxes to note in. The first number corresponds to MIDI note number, pitch, and the second to attack velocity. We're not going to go into a note out object. We're going to use our MIDI note on and off messages from our MIDI device to control a software synthesizer, and therefore we have to format our MIDI note on and off messages in a particular way. We're going to need a Midi Format object. The first input of Midi Format, the first input corresponds to pitch and velocity, and it wants to receive pitch and velocity at the same time. So we have to group these numbers together and then send it out as a single message into Midi Format. How do you do that? With an object called pack. Pack needs arguments that tell it how many elements you're packing together in one message. So I'm going to give it the argument 0, 0. And that'll give me 2 inputs. If I add an extra input, if I add an extra 0, it will give me an extra input, but we don't need one, so we're just going to work with this. Pitch, velocity, attack velocity, and then we're going to send that into input number 1, Midi Format. And then we're going to use the second output of Midi Format to communicate with a software instrument. Now, before we do anything, let's make sure that Max is reading my MIDI device. And the way that you can check that is by double clicking on Control In and Note In. All right, when you do that, it'll show you a list of all the MIDI devices on your computer. Just to be extra sure that everything works. When we saw Control In work earlier, but I'm just going to select the name of my MIDI device just in case. And yep, still works. And yeah, I'm making notes here. By the way, MIDI note 60 is middle C. This is all reference that you want to remember. MIDI note 60 is middle C. And then the numbers all move up in half steps. 61 is C sharp. 62 is D. 63 is D sharp, and so forth. Okay, just an FYI. Okay. Now, let's try to control an instrument. If we go to the side panel here, you will see this plugins icon. Let's unlock the patch. Let's click on this plugins icon. Max has a few synthesizers that you can play with. My favorite is this Big Ben Bell. So you simply click on the synthesizer name and bring it in. Just an FYI, guys, not all of the devices listed here are synthesizers. Make sure that the one that you select is a synthesizer. A lot of these are signal processors. First thing I want to do is take a patch cord from the second output of Midi format and plug it into Big Ben Bell. Alright, that will send my MIDI note on messages to Big Ben Bell. Now, before I route this to any audio output, I want some volume controls here. So I'm going to bring in an object called gain tilde. Gain tilde, and an audio slider will appear for me. I'm going to bring in 2 because Big Ben puts out audio in stereo. Gain tilde. This goes out. Output number 1. Output number 2. And let's have a controller gain tilde so that I can control both left and right volume at the same time rather than having to control it individually. I'm going to bring in a third gain tilde. Gain tilde. And I'm going to make that my master fader. Now, if you look very closely, there are 2 outputs on gain tilde. The first is a signal output and the second is a data output. We're going to take the data output and connect it to both gain tildes here. Alright, and now I could just use one fader to control both of them. Just an FYI, guys, unity gain on gain tilde is 128. 157 is way past unity gain, so just keep in mind. Let's see where that 128 is. Almost third ways up. So we could see how loud we're making this. We don't want to distort. Okay. Something cool that you could do in Max, you can format your objects to customize the apps you build. I'm going to change the color of this gain tilde so that it looks like a master fader. Okay, I want my inspector. Click on the object, highlight it, go to the inspector, and here you can play around with the parameters of that object. Background color, let's change it to red. There we go. Let me route the output of Big Ben to my digital to analog converter. You won't hear anything from your synthesizers, guys, without this object, without your digital to analog converter. Okay, we're gonna take the output left, output right. We're going to give this a toggle. And voila. Let's play some notes. Let's not get too loud. Let's make that. Oh, you guys probably don't hear it. Let me route this. I've had to create a separate recording module in the patch because OBS Studios, the software that I'm using to screen capture, isn't capturing my audio. And it doesn't matter whether I set it to receive audio from my audio interface, it's not working. So I'm just recording everything in Max, and then I'll synchronize the video and the audio in a video editor later. But that's why I had to go through the process of also sending patch cables to this mixer, because I'm recording everything that's going on in this patch through this module here. Okay. But you guys don't have to do that. All you have to do is take the output, left and right output from your synthesizer, and bring it into a digital to analog converter, and then you'll be able to hear what's going on. Let's make it a little louder. Cool. All right. Now, I want to be able to control these three parameters of the big band, the stereo, the attack, and the decay, using my sensors here. All right, we're going to send big band commands with the names of the parameters inside of those commands. So we're going to call this message stereo. And we're going to include $1. Whenever you see a $1 in Max, it means that the element within that message is variable. And so it will change according to whatever input you bring into that message. I'm going to go from my mod wheel sensor into stereo 1, and let's see if big band stereo responds. And it does. Yay. See what that does to the sound. Cool. Let's make a message for attack and decay as well. So we're going to say attack $1. And we're going to say decay $1. And I'm going to use this first sensor for attack and the second sensor for decay. All right, let's see what we can do here. It's a long attack. Let's make the attack super short. Cool. All right. Let's make that attack long again. That was fun to play with. Awesome. That was a lot of fun, but let's do something even funner. We're now going to take a VST and we're going to use the sensors we have on our MIDI device to control that VST synth so that we can have a really, really dynamic performance. Now, for those of you who can't get a VST to work on your computer for any reason, feel free to just experiment with the synthesizers you have available in Macs. But those of you who have the capability to experiment with a more dynamic synthesizer, which is what you'll get with a VST instrument, please do that. All right, now fear not. You don't have to buy anything. I'm going to show you 3 places where you can download really cool VSTs for free. All right. Here we go. We're going to go to Google. The first resource that we're going to visit is VST Planet. There it is. Here it is. Up on the top, there's a menu. You want to select VST instruments. Are a ton of VSTs for you to review. Just an FYI, before you download something, make sure that it works with your operating system. Not all of these VSTs work with Macs and not with Mac computers, and not all of them work with 64-bit Windows. I found that VST Planet has very few software instruments for Macintosh computers, guys, unfortunately. and it has very few 64-bit Windows plugins, but please check it out. There are some in there. You just have to dig a little bit. The other resource is vstforfree.com. You got tons more VST instruments to look at. Again, you have to click on the page of the instrument you're looking at and read the description and see what kind of file you're downloading. Unfortunately, this software instrument only has a Windows 32-bit version, so it won't work on Macintosh and it won't work on 64-bit Windows 10 computers. All right. Now, if you don't want to do too much digging, then the very best resource is full bucket synthesizers. There it is. It's www.fullbucket.de. These guys make synths for all operating systems. All right. You need only to click on a synth and you'll see that there is a Mac version, there is a Windows version, and upon download, you're going to find that in the download folder, you're going to see a 32-bit version of the synth and a 64-bit version of the synth. I've already downloaded a synthesizer from Full Bucket, and it's here on my desktop. It's called the Stigma synth, and I'm using the 64-bit version. PC users, the file extensions for your VSTs is not actually VST, it's .dll. So that's normal, that's okay. Macs will read it. I am going to remove the Big Ben module because we're not going to use Big Ben, but I am going to keep my All right, now let's listen to the instrument. You'll notice it only plays one note at a time. This software instrument is monophonic, so you'll be emulating a monophonic instrument if you're using the Sigma synth. All right, that's what it sounds like. But if we want to be able to tweak the parameters of this sound in real time, we need to find out what all of these parameters are called. You'll find that the labels that these virtual knobs and faders have don't correspond to the actual name of the parameter. And so there's going to be a lot of trial and error involved in this. So be patient. So as we did with the Big Ben Bell synth, we're going to take the parameter names and create commands for VST tilde so that we can access a particular parameter. Now, in order to do that, we need to print the names of the parameters to our max window. This is how you access the max window. All right, go to the menu bar to the right of your patcher window, and you'll see these lines where it says Max Console. Click on that, and that'll open up your Max window. As you patch, you may see some error messages appear here. The Max window is your patching helper, and this is where the parameter names are going to be printed. While my patch is locked, I'm going to click on this message params, and voila. The names of all the parameters that we can control on that synthesizer are available here. I only have 9 sensors to work with, so I have to select 9 parameters, which should be enough to create a really dynamic improvisation. Now, I've played a lot with the Stigma synth already, so I already have an idea of what sensors of what parameters I want to use. Let me open up the synth and show you what I want to use here. I definitely need this Keyhold switch. Now, this is an on and off switch, but I can't use any of these buttons here to turn that switch on and off, because these create MIDI notes, and I don't want to be creating notes when I'm trying to turn a switch on and off. So I'm going to use this potentiometer here as my Keyhold. What's it called again? Okay. My Keyhold switch controller. All right. Now we have to find this Keyhold in this list here. It may not be called Keyhold. We have to find what we think is associated with this parameter. Okay. What does a Keyhold do? Let me show you. All right. You press a note on the synthesizer, and it continues to go. Why is this? Why is that useful? Because when a note is sustaining, you have both hands. You can use both of your hands to tweak the parameters of the sound in real time, which is how a lot of synthesis work with analog synthesizers. All right, so let's see if we find a parameter called Keyhold on the side here. All right. I know. It's a lot of parameter. Oh, there it is, Keyhold, right there. And it's called exactly that, Keyhold. All right. So we're going to bring in a message. and we're going to call it Keyhold. And guys, you have to format the name exactly as you see it in the Max window here in your message. If you're missing a space or you don't capitalize the words that are, and you don't capitalize the letters that are capitalized, it won't work. So now after Keyhold, we're going to include $1. Oops, that says $! $1. And we're going to feed that into VST tilde. All right. Now, before I can feed anything from this fader into Keyhold, I have to scale the output of this MIDI fader to numbers that my VST instrument wants to receive. VSTs like numbers from 0 to 1, floating point numbers between 0 to 1. 0 meaning that a fader is turned all the way down, and 1 meaning fader is turned 100% all the way up. All right. Okay, so to do that, we have to create a scale object. Scale. All right. Now, scale needs a pair of arguments, and these pair of arguments are ranges. You need to insert the original range of your of the sensor that you're working with. In this case, we're working with a something that with a slider that conforms to MIDI, which has 127 steps. All right, so we're going to say 0 to 127. Okay. Now, the second part of the argument is what we want it to conform to. And we want it to conform to numbers between 0 and 1. So we're going to put 0 decimal point space 1 decimal point. And I'm going to bring in an object called flowNum. And it'll give me a number box that can display floating point numbers. Okay. And now let's see if it does the scaling properly. And it does. See, bottom all the way down 0, all the way up we get 1. Cool. All right, now you want to take the output from here. Oh, no, wait a second. This Keyhold is a switch, so we don't need this many numbers for Keyhold. So we're going to use this module, this scale module, for every other sensor, but not the first one, because our first sensor is going to control a Keyhold, which is an on and off switch, and I'm going to show you an easy way to make that work with a slider. But first, let me copy and paste this 8 times so that we already have all of our sliders scaled for the other parameters of this synthesizer. right, let's make sure that we get numbers from our MIDI device through all of these scale modules here. So, well, that one's not connected. Okay, 2, 3, 4, 5, oop, 6, 7, 8, sensor 9. There we go. Yay. Cool. All right. Keyhold. We're gonna give this 0 point, and oops, I didn't format it correctly. It's capital. Oh, yes, I did. I did include the capital. All right. All right, and I'm going to feed this into VST. I am going to lock the patch. No, I'm not going to lock the patch yet. I'm going to turn this slider into an on and off switch using the select object. I'm going to say select 0 and select 127. 127 is going, which is the second, corresponds to the second output of the select box, is going to turn on my Keyhold. The 0 is going to turn it off. I'm going to connect my slider here. Okay, so now this first slider is an on and off switch. Oh my goodness, and when I move, when I'm sending stuff in through these keyholds and in from the keyholds to the VST, I'm getting error messages. Key, unknown parameter. Oh no. So that means, guys, that we have to do something to our messages, to our parameter names. Sometimes, this doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes you have to give your parameter names you have to surround your parameter names in parentheses so that things work for you. I don't know why. This is just a trick that I learned from another Max guru, and so I'm passing it on to you now. Again, you may not have to do this, but if you find that you're getting error messages like this, then you may have to. All right, now let's see. Okay, no more error messages, but we don't know yet if our VST is responding to what I'm doing. So let's open the VST and take a look at this Keyhold. And you're going to see me working my fader here. And if when I move my fader, you see this Keyhold moving, then you know that my controller is communicating with the parameters of this VST. Yep. On, off, on, off, on, off. Cool. All right. It is working. All right. Let's map another parameter. Well, let's see it work. How about that? All right. It's in the off position now. So none of my notes are being held. I'm going to turn it on. It will perpetually hold that note. Cool. All right, I'm going to go to my Max window. And I'm going to clear it because so much has... I got so many error messages because I didn't put parentheses around my parameter names. Again, you don't have to do that all the time, but you, depending on your system, you may have to. All right. You clear your Max window with the X here, and I'm going to reprint my parameter names by clicking on params. All right. Let's look at other things we can play with in this VST. Let's open it again. Let's see what's cool. Let me see. Ooh, Portamento. Portamento. Do we want to create slides between our notes? Right now, our notes don't slide into each other, but this is a cool feature that analog synthesizers have. Let's control Portamento Time. Let's find out what Portamento Time is called. Here in our parameters windows, probably Porta something. Ah, there it is. Porta T. There it is. Oops, I brought in an object. Okay, I needed a message. There we go. Let's, I'm gonna assume that I'm gonna need a parentheses for all of my parameter names. So I'm gonna start with parentheses, Porta T. I'm guessing that's for Porta Time. $1. Okay. And my first knob here on my MIDI device will feed into this Porta T. Now Porta T goes into VST. Let's see if VST responds. And it does. You see it? Here it is. See the time, the virtual potentiometer here? Watch me control it. Yay. All right, I have it all the way up now. Now my notes should slowly slide into each other. It's a bit too slow. Let me make it a little bit faster. Let me make it a little bit faster. Let me turn on my hold. It's holding. And now let me change notes. Turn off my hold. Cool. Let's see what else we can play with this Stigma Synth. What else would be interesting? We got Portamento control. We got Keyhold control. Ooh, ring modulation? Yes, please. Let me see what that sounds like. Oh, yeah, I want to use that. I want to use that. That's cool. All right, so let's find this ring modulation. I'm going to leave ring modulation on. And I want to find that synth pitch control on here. Let's find it. Let's find it here. Where are you? I don't see it. Oh, there it is. Synth pitch. All right. We have to create a message with the name of that parameter exactly how you see it here. So I'm going to start with a quotation mark because, again, for this synth wants its parameter names in quotations. Yours might not want it in quotations. It depends. I've seen, I mean, depending on what the software you're using or the way that your system is set up, I don't know how yours is going to work. Again, try it with and without it and see what works for you. All right, I'm typing in quotations, syn dot, oh, there's no space between the dot and the pitch, PTCH, and I'm going to type in $1 into that. That's going to go into my VST. We're going to go out here and let's see if VST responds. Let's open it. Here is my synth pitch, my ring modulation control. And let's see. Oh, yes. You see my hand moving the sensor. There it is. There it is. Let's turn on my Keyhold and you'll hear this working. Oh yeah. Let's make the portamento longer. Let's make that portamento much longer. It sounds really good with the ring mod. Oh yeah. I turn off the Keyhold to turn off the sound. Cool. Very nice. All right. What other parameters shall we play with? Ooh, this looks like it could, looks like a pulse width thing. This may help us create some cool rhythms. All right, let's turn it on and let's see what it does. Maybe if we turn down the Portamento. That's cool. I think we could find something cooler though. Let me turn hold on so we could play a little bit more with that. Let me turn Portamento Time off. And where's my ring mod? Oh, there it is. doesn't do much to the sound. Let's see what else. What else we can use. What's this that says air? I turned it on. I don't hear anything. Alright, what's this here? This other air, let's see what it does. Something wants to happen, no. Let's see, what does this do? I think I simplified the sound by turning off the air. Yeah, I did. Let's see what this does. That's cool. Your attack time here controls, I guess, the rhythm created by this pulse. What does this do? I hear anything with that? Let's try this. Don't hear anything with that. Let's try this. Elect bass. Don't hear much. This tuba control. Okay, a tone difference here. Let's try this fuzz guitar thing. Alright, how about this horn? It's a cool filter. How about this trumpet? In conjunction with the clock? No. No, I don't think I like that. Ooh. I like that clarinet tone. String. Okay. Cool switches, but alright, so I changed the nature of the sound a bit, but that's alright. Let me add more of this guitar fuzz. Let's see what other parameters are cool, would be cool to play with. Let's see what the speed thing does. Ooh. I really like that. See what this does. See what the difference between that and the ring mod is. Yeah, the effect is different. Let's find the speed control. Let's find that speed control. It's under a category named chorus, so we should see that in some way, in some form here in the parameter names in our max window. So we're looking for chorus. What was the name? I'm sorry. chorus speed 1, something along those lines. Chorus speed 1. Oh, there we found chorus. I have a feeling it's this one, chorus LFO1. Let's select that. Let's make a parameter name with that. Parentheses CHO space LFO1. Ooh. Exactly how it appears in the max window. $1, and we're gonna use, we're using 1, 2, 3. Is this going anywhere yet? It's not going anywhere yet. Okay. Alright, let's see if this will talk to our synthesizer. Oh yeah, it's doing it. It's doing it. Alright, so let's play with these parameters a bit. Okay, here we go. I'm going to turn on the hold. Portamento. So that's pretty cool. Okay guys, now I'm going to show you how to record your improvisation with an object called SF record. And as the name of the object suggests, it helps you to record a sound file that you can then take to any DAW and do with whatever you want with it. I already have an SF record set up in my patch because again I am using it to record the audio of this tutorial because OBS Studio, this thing that I have recording my screen, for some reason today is refusing to talk to my audio interface. I don't know why. So your setup won't look like mine. All you will need to do to record the output of your synthesizer is just send all the patch cables that are going into all of the outputs that are going into your DAC into SF record, and then you're good. So how do you do that? Just simply make an SF record tilde object. All the tilde objects in Macs, guys, are the digital audio objects. All right. I'm going to give it an argument of 2 because I want to record in stereo. When you put in that argument of 2, it'll give you 2 inputs. All right. You have to give your SF record some commands so that it works. You're going to give it an open command. Does mine have an open command? Yeah. Open command and a toggle. You get the toggles from up here, guys. Alright. Then you take the output from your VST. You can either go straight from your VST into SF record, or go, if you have some volume controls for your VST like I have here, go out the output of your volume controls into your VST. Alright. When you click on open, it's going to open your Finder or your file explorer if you're on a PC. Here, name your file, tell it where to save it, select what type of format you want, and click save. and then it'll be ready to record your sound file in the sampling rate and bit depth you have set up in your patch. The way you find out is by double clicking on your DAC, and it will tell you what the sampling rate and bit depth your patch is working at. Mine is working in CD quality, 44.1 kilohertz, 16-bit. All right. When you want to start recording, you press the toggle, let it go, and then when you want to stop recording, press the toggle again. All right. I'm going to route all right. I'm already routing the output of my VST into an SF record. I have it running through this mixer here, and then the output of the mixer is running through SF record. Now, since I am a vocalist, it would be cool to add some vocals to this improvisation. You guys are welcome to do this as well. I am going to look at my Max plugins here and see what would be fun to work with. Let's see. How about... Actually, I really like the Space Echo again. It's cool looking. By the way, you could potentially use the knobs and fader on your device, and in a similar way to how we're controlling our VST, send commands, send information from these MIDI sliders into a plugin within Max, so that you can control a sound processor in the parameters of a sound processor in real time as well. But we'll save that for another tutorial. Okay, so I already have my microphone set up in Max. In order to get mic signal into Max, or any type of input into Max, you need to set yourself up with an ADC tilde, that stands for analog to digital converter. And I'm going to send the output from my analog to digital converter into Space Echo. Space Echo is an effect that happens in stereo. And I'm going to route the output of it into my mixer. And I'm going to do a little bit of tweaking here. Anything from Space Echo? Testing 1. Testing. 1, 2, 3. All right. So I hope you had fun building this um, analog synth emulator with me, and have a very nice improv of your own. And stay tuned for the next tutorial. Bye.